Hello, welcome to Flower Juice. My name is John McDonald, and today we're going to make an arrangement that really is just a celebration of kind of end of summer flowers. And the reason I'm making this is because someone I know who's got a fabulous garden gave me these amazing dahlias. So they were away on holiday, they came back, they had loads of dahlias and they cut them. And when I popped my head in, they basically said, you have them, I've got loads more to cut. And I just want to make an arrangement to use them up and to really enjoy them. So what I've got is I've got my bread bin, which I must admit I don't like using a bread bin because you forget that you've got bread in it. But what I've done is I've put our metal frame in there. So this was the wire frame that we made not that long ago. So if you haven't seen the video, we've made a video that shows you how to make a frame like this, which is really useful for flower arranging. And you can make it to fit any size of container. So I've made this one a little bit wider and a little bit shorter than this one. And you can make them in all different sizes. So if you've got a favourite pot, then it's a really good thing to do. So we've got our wire frame and it's in our container. And the great thing with this is it's got a good amount of depth. So the first thing I'm going to do is add some water. And as I say, this container is going to give us a really good water source for our flowers. And to be honest, flowers will always prefer to just be in water. Whatever you're doing, they will be the happiest when they're just in water and they can get a good drink. So we're going to make a start. And I'm going to add a few pieces of foliage first, and I want this to be quite big. So we're going to just see what we've got. Now this is an interesting bit of foliage. This is a piece of rhubarb. So I went out last night and I cut some foliage so that it could sit in a bucket all night and basically condition. So when you hear about people saying, oh, they've conditioned the flowers, that's what they mean, is that they've not just cut them and used them straight away, they've allowed them the opportunity to have a good drink. And that's really, really important. So I'm putting in a couple of big leaves at the front. Now, I've only got one of each of them. So this is hosta, this is rhubarb. So I don't want to hide them at the back where they disappear. And we're getting a little bit of length with our this is actually forsythia. So if you're making flowers at home, you can really use whatever you've got. You don't have to use shop-bought materials all the time. Now when I put this together, I am just going to recut the stems as I put them in. That's important because that will basically give the flowers a really good chance to take up more water. So when you first cut a stem and give it a drink, it's getting some water, but it's always a good idea to recut it again when you actually come to use it. I really like this forsythia. I've got a bush at the bottom of the garden and it's really got a very interesting form to it. It has lovely lines within the actual foliage. So with our foliage, we're creating a base for our design. I've got a couple of canna leaves here. And I just really picked them because they're big and bold and I can put them towards the back and they'll create a good backdrop to our design. Ooh, now. Everyone thinks I've got an amazing garden, but I really don't. But what I do is I do have things that I like to cut. And it's always good to grow things that are kind of useful. So I'm very lucky that I've got some nice ivy on the garage, on the back wall. So we can pop some of this ivy, and again, it's got some really nice shapes. And this is a little bit of marguerite. This normally has like a really pretty daisy flower. But as you can see, just putting that in. So we've created a framework here. This is going to give us a little bit filler, but we've still got lots of space. And now we can start to add our flowers. And I'm not sure where to start because they're all so beautiful. One of the interesting things with this will be the length. So I'm going to take off any that are poor. So like this one here, this middle one is showing its age. So we'll take him off. Don't know why I called it a him. And this one as well. The reason being that once they start to turn, they can turn quite quickly. And I just want this arrangement to last as well as it can. Now this is interesting as well. Like what I've done is I've placed this one so that if you see it from the side, it really comes forward. We're going to get some recession with some of the bigger, but you really want to create space. So you want there to be space between the flowers. As flower arrangers tend to say, it's like space for the butterflies. As you can see, these dahlias are just super. Now my garden here, unfortunately, is a little bit dark, and I did have dahlias and I had really beautiful cannas, and when I moved I put them in and they didn't do particularly well because we've got too many trees round about, and the trees create shade, which really doesn't work well for the cannas and the dahlias, which is a shame. The other thing as well is I lifted them, stored them, I thought frost free, but they didn't make it through the winter, which was really, really annoying because when you've got dahlias, it's nice to keep them from year to year. And quite a few of them I'd actually grown from cuttings as well. So, yeah, you're not so good. So this metal frame really allows us to place the flowers well. It holds them well, and it's nice and clean. I don't like wasting anything, so that wee bud can just go down there. Now, let's see. I've got one or two of these beautiful pom-pom ones. When I first started my journey with flowers, I really wasn't so keen on dahlias or gladioli, any of these kind of allotment style flowers like the chrysanths. Someone had asked me to do flowers for a wedding, and this was really when I first started, and the father had grown lots of these flowers, lots of gladioli, huge dahlias, and they were magnificent, but at that point I didn't really appreciate it because they were difficult shapes to work with, and it really made me think for a long time that I didn't like those flowers. But actually now I can see just how glorious they are. Now I'm going to take this little light coloured one further in. So this, yes, it's in there, but it's taking your eye into the design. And actually we've got another one here. So in a way this is very random, but I think that works very well with this style of flower. This one's gorgeous. He's not as fresh as I would like, but we can put him to the back, I think. So keep checking your design and seeing that you're happy, which is a case of step back, look at it. Does it need anything more? Does it need anything less? That's not sitting quite the way I would like. So we can change it. And that's the great thing with a base like this. It's easy to maneuver. Now, to be honest, this one isn't as fresh as I would like, so we'll just go with using the actual bud. Now, what do I have? Yeah, I think that's it. So that is really our, oh no, we've got one more. Our dahlias. I don't want to waste any of these because they're just so beautiful. And thank you, Tricia, for giving me these flowers. So there we go, we've got our design. We've created a framework of foliage. We've got some interesting foliage. We've placed all our main flowers. And now all we need to do is add any little touches that we want to make this a little bit more special. So I do have some little bits of flower, like this is a little sedum. We can just come in with that. And this will stop it looking a little bit unnatural. When you've got just one type of flower, like the dahlia, it can look a little bit unnatural. So adding a little bit of a mix of other content will break that up and make it look, I was going to say make it look better, but it will make it look more balanced in a natural sense, that it's not all one type of flower. So straight away you can see this is giving a contrast to these heavy flowers. And another thing I want to use is a little bit of this zebra grass that I've got in my garden. And we can use both the foliage and the plume. I really like the zebra grass. It's just very dramatic and dynamic. Don't break. And what else do we have? Yeah, so we'll bring one of these zebra grasses to the front. And I'd like to just put a little bit of pampas in here as well. This was another thing that someone gave me, that they were cutting it in their garden and said, oh, I was going to put it in the bin, and then I realised you would probably use it. So an arrangement like this just shows that you don't necessarily need to always buy flowers. You can see what you have and make use of the season when the season is good for getting flowers and making something special. So all I've got left to do is I'm just going to put a little bit of foliage in the back. This just finishes it off if you were coming round from the side. And I don't want to totally close that in, but it depends where you're going to place this. If it's going to be on a sideboard, you do need to kind of check how it looks from the sides, because that is something you're going to see as you walk towards it. So like this side here, we could actually just add another dahlia. So adding this dahlia really stopped this from looking a little bit bare, whereas this side here is looking really, really good. So there we go, we've got an end of summer seasonal design. It's foam free, it's a real explosion of colour, and it's really bringing the outside indoors. And this is an arrangement that anyone could make. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video. If you have, then click here to subscribe. If you've already subscribed, then tap the bell and you'll get a notification of all our new videos. And if you've really loved this, then why not share the video with your friends? We would really appreciate that if you could. So thank you for watching. We've got a new video every week and we'd love you to join us for our next design. So take care and see you soon.